the Snobs podcast.
Welcome to the Snobs podcast, everybody. We're doing it right. That's right. We're recording this week. I'm taking the week off. I gave my man, producer Paul, who clearly isn't here, and the week off. His brother's in town, and he's celebrating Christmas. So love you, Paul, and we'll see you next week. But I am doing an episode pre-recorded, and I have a guest with me, a guest co-host tonight, who has not been on the show since the very early days of when I had like weekly co-hosts because I was by myself, and she filled in one week, and that is the lovely Mrs. Manhattan. That's right, Mary Manhattan is here. Thank you for joining in, my wife. And yeah, so I appreciate you jumping on and being a part of it. We were talking about last week and saying that, you know, kind of want to be on, talk about a few things and like kind of experience the show. And I talked about it as well. You know, I was not interested in that. I was like, actually, yeah, I want to do that, you know. Let's talk about it. So very excited to have you here, Mary. Thank you. You want to say anything to anybody before we get started?
Yeah, just happy to be here. Really excited for the conversation and can't wait to get started.
So we're going to fight on it. No, I'm just kidding. No, we actually have some fun stuff to talk about tonight with our top five. And we reviewed a very different movie than I think either of us would actually watch. And we'll get to that. I was far too early last week talking about Wicked in the topics. Paul would just have me, he didn't like it. So like, and I really liked it. So my whole being just kept calling me to talk about it. And you know, just to tell him like, why are you missing out on all this amazingness of Wicked? And here I am again in the next episode talking about Wicked after I reviewed it. So I gotta stop.
It was a good one though. It was a good one to keep bringing back.
You saw it, and I'm going to give you a chance to kind of give your review of it. Like, what did you think of Wicked? Especially, I know how much you like Wizard of Oz, but I don't think you've seen much more outside of that, right?
No, I had no idea about the story of Wicked. I didn't know any of the songs. I knew zero about it. I've never seen it. So it was a very fresh set of eyes, and I was in love with it. I have to say, my inner being was a little sad just all of these years. Like, she really wasn't wicked, you know, of like having been lied to this whole time, of something that felt so like I was so strongly, you know, confident about.
Yes.
But I loved it. I thought the music was amazing. And I'm not a big fan of Ariana Grande, but I thought she did a fantastic job as Glinda. I think she played the role really well. Her voice was perfect for that role, and just both of them did an outstanding job. I really could not. I can't wait for the second one.
I gotta be honest. I don't dislike Ariana Grande. Like I think it's more like I kind of get with all of the controversy that surrounds her why some people would be upset. I mean, I don't like. I guess I just don't listen to her music enough and stuff. So like this was, other than Saturday Night Live, this is really my Ariana Grande experience.
Interesting.
So I thought she did a good job. Like, I knew she was on that TV show back in the day my nieces watched. It was like a continuation from iCarly. And I didn't know anything about her, and then she became like superstar.
Right.
And now she's Glinda, and I thought, I really liked her. Her voice was powerful. She matched the character that they were going for in Glinda really well.
I agree.
For my wonderful Snob Nation patrons out there watching and listening right now to this wonderful episode, you got more of Wicked from me. I want to bring up one thing. You bring up a good point. Like, you find out like she's not wicked after all, and like there's more layers to it. But if you go back, that actually Margaret Hamilton, who played the Wicked Witch of the East in the original 1939 Wizard of Oz, she scared kids. Kids were so scared of her. She couldn't like go out in public. She couldn't really do anything. Like, they were so scared of her. And she was such, like, from what I understand, everything I've read and I've seen, she was a lovely woman.
Yeah.
But she encompassed that role so well, and she did it. She really did. She's still outstanding.
Yeah.
It was Sesame Street that fixed her. Not fixed her, but fixed that for her, I should say.
Right.
They brought her on in the costume and humanized her.
I did not know that.
And from that point forward, she could do, it wasn't that much more, but like from that point forward, I guess she could do like appearances and such. And it was,
I love that so much.
which is another testament. And I'm not getting into anything, but that is why we need the public broadcasting system. That's all I'm going to say. But yeah, no. So talking about Wicked kind of like kicks into, there's a lot of themes in Wicked and how everybody connects and between relationships and friendships and everything else. And that's kind of what we were going for tonight. Like, we're going to go with something a little fun, which is like, we're going to analyze some like moves in movies and discuss like, what do we think? Do we think like this is something that you should be able to do? Should you be able to do those like little white lies that they do in movies and such? And I thought it'd be fun to kind of talk about that. Like, I don't know, for me, I grew up on that stuff. So like, it was very impressionable for a young guy. And now as I grow older, I'm like, man, some of the stuff is like,
yeah,
I wish somebody was just like, no, this isn't a good idea. And I'm sure as a woman, you can speak more to that. But is there anything in movies that really, even if it's more so today, you can be any time period though, is there anything about movies that really, in terms of that courtship and like that game being played, that you see where like maybe it's like, come on, like I can't believe this worked or is something that somebody would try?
I think it's the overstated gesture where it's inflated, it's not genuine, right? Where it's this huge thing where you're trying to get the girl and you're trying to make this big wave and you're trying to get all of these things to line up. And to me, that is almost unorganic. And to me, I just don't see how, if you're trying to make all of these things work, when does that naturalness come in? When does the love and the natural attraction? And, because as well as I do, I mean, we could have topics left and right, but our conversations are and our relationship is just so natural and it flows so well with the times too, that that orchestratedness just feels not real to me. And it's like, how would you start a relationship like that? With all this huge lie almost, or this huge display of someone that you're not really.
And that's a great point. And one of the things like to that point that really stands out to me is it almost seems like a lot of times when like a guy is trying to court a woman in a movie or something like that, or let's say like a boy and a girl, and because it's usually they're young, like, not always, but usually they're much younger than like we are, at that point for the courtship. And I think that naivete as it being young plays into it. Like, oh, I'm too stupid to tell the truth almost, which I'm not agreeing with. I'm not saying that's the right way to go about it. But as I watch it, it almost seems like when these characters are being written to court, they're trying to court the honeymoon period, not the relationship.
Yep, exactly.
And which is a killer right there. I mean, and anybody. So like that is right there. Anybody watching rom-coms and things like that, I feel like are starting out a step back.
I agree.
Because they're not like, are there any let's go with the moves still first, because I do want to ask another question, but like, are there any like situations from movies that you can think of that maybe worked? Like you're like, oh, I'm glad it worked in that way, or they played it that way. And it doesn't have to be a move or anything, but like maybe how they wrote it.
Yeah. So I love the dating test scene, right? Where you walk around, you unlock the door kind of thing. Like those things to me, I think will always play out really well. I think there is a sense of compatibility. I think there's a sense of, is this person as interested in me as I am to them? And I think those little like litmus tests are a good way to gauge that interest, where it's not really testing the person and it's not really this, this facade of a person, but you're really trying to gauge, like, are we playing games? Are you into this? Do you, if I unlock your door, are you going to unlock mine? Or is it this one-way street, right? Where it's just all about one person? Because to me, that will never last either.
I think for most men too, that and I love your point. I'm sorry. Before I get into mine, I just get excited about conversation, but I love your point. And to play off of that, or to build off of that, one of the things I think like about that door lock test for men, from a men's point of view, is that it feels like respect. It feels real. That does feel like a genuine moment. Like she shouldn't have to do it, right, but she's doing it out of respect. And I think all men really want is like to feel respected and loved. developed, right? So like, because by and large, men aren't as children. And now I'm not saying that, I'm not trying to make any statements or anything. I'm just saying like, but a lot of times you hear through talk and things like that, that's a big thing for men. So like for you as a woman, because a lot of the times, and I know from our age, like I'd open a door for you.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a move, but it is a move to make. Like you open a door. That's a sign of respect from men to women, and that's how I've always taken it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why there wouldn't be a moment to open it, like for a man to open a door for the woman. So like, what is something that kind of correlates? And you don't have to stick to movies on this, but maybe like for women that on a first date is like sort of that sign of respect from a man that you can. I don't know. I don't want to do all the talk. Like I want to hear what you have to say about this, if you get me.
So, well, for me personally, and again, this is just for me, everybody's different. And I think that's the thing, right? You have to figure out what makes the person who's sitting across from you tick, what gets them excited. So for me, it's the conversation. You know, are there questions? Were you listening to what I was saying? Are you bringing back something that I might have brought up earlier? Or are you just interested in telling me about how great you are? Right. So I think for me, I don't think it's an actual act or like a gesture, but I think it's in those conversations. For me, I can just really tell intuitively whether or not the person is in the conversation genuinely, or if they have one ear out the door, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, and like on my ends, for somebody who's so good at listening, what did you say? No, I appreciate that. That's actually a great point, and I love that in conversation as well. So I think just having that, I think that's a rare art form in general among people,
Everyone.
Yeah. Being able to talk to someone, A, looking them in the eye, B, really listening, but not to repeat so you think I'm listening, but like really genuine conversation, deep. Like, yeah, I'm going to repeat something you said 20 minutes ago, like you had mentioned, because I'm so in this and now I'm back to it. Like those are the type of conversations, like I feel like if a couple has those, really give it a try, because that's great communication.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to get into like, marriage tips or anything like that. But, bringing it back to movies, though, like you had said, one of our first conversations when we met, I asked you what your favorite movie was, because that's something that interested me. And you had said, and I'll let you take that one away.
Well, so to be fair, we did meet in November. So it was a timely.
It was like 3 days after it too.
So, but one of my favorite movies definitely is V for Vendetta. It just, the way that it was done, the shots of the film are beautifully done. Particularly when Natalie Portman at the end is in the rain, and they're just, I mean, I still get goosebumps when I think about it. The whole thing, of not only the bigger themes of the movie, but even just finding yourself, right? And what's true to you, and how far you're willing to go for that truth. It just really spoke to me, and I really loved the different relationships between the different people. And I loved that they weren't all, the biggest one wasn't a romantic relationship. It really was deeper than that. And it has always been one of my favorite movies.
Can confirm. We've watched it quite a few times, and I do like it as well. It's a great graphic novel too, if anybody hasn't read it. So but to kind of, and I'm so glad you said that, because that was like one of my most interesting, because I'm like, you never hear that. From anyone. So that was definitely an interesting like thing to hear, and I like that you went kind of, because you're not a movie person. Not like I'm a cinephile,
I'm a rom-com person.
Well, I the way I see it is like, you're not a movie person in a way that anybody can enjoy movies. It's entertainment, right? But you don't like, I look up the IMDb trivia. I'll go like, I have to like figure out what went into all of this. So like, to me, that's the breakup. Like you see a lot of like the really like intense movie fans like have to like learn all about the other side of it, whereas normal people can watch the movie, enjoy it, and then move on with their lives. So it was nice that night especially to hear that, because like you hear a lot of things. Like if you had said Steel Magnolias, which I know is a big favorite of yours and is a great movie, I probably, not that I was in, I'm just
The whole
saying
thing
like,
would have been over.
I had heard Steel Magnolias before, so I probably would have changed the conversation.
Sure.
But we had a really good conversation based on V for Vendetta because it's so out there. It's such a different movie,
Yeah.
and intriguing, and I love that.
Yeah.
I want to steer back a little bit to what we were talking about with relation. I do have two specifics to what I had asked you earlier. And one was, what do you think about You've Got Mail?
That's a good question.
That's a move. Once he finds out, he is still strategically trying to play into this.
I agree.
But I think it's genuine why he's doing it. He knows they're in love.
Right. But he knew, and as soon as you know, then you know better.
That's true.
To me, when I was younger, I could love that movie from start to finish, right? Happy ending. They end up together. It's all good, not to spoil anything, but
no.
But now, especially now having been through, such an important and impactful and different relationship with you than I've ever experienced with anybody else, knowing what we have now and how we built that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see.
If it's okay, because I have mentioned it on the show before, and we don't have to get into it, but just to say, we have had our issues that we've built back from, and we've done all the things. So it is possible separating and things like that. So, I just want anybody listening who may be going through something, it is possible, but put the work in.
It is.
Not to take away from what you're saying. I am so sorry.
No, that's okay. But I do want to say, I think, a big part of what got us through, I think, was that we were so open and honest, not only with ourselves, but with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't just one of us that wanted it to work. It has to be both, in my opinion. Because if you're the one who wants it to work, but the person is fleeting or, seems to be unattainable, to me, that is someone you are worth someone who's interested in you. I agree that there is a little bit of a game, hard to get, right? Are they into me? I'm going to withhold, certain physical things till later in the relationship or whatever that barometer is for you.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, we both wanted it. We both were so in love with each other, and the struggles that we had were so real. We just didn't know how to get through them.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of just saying, this is too hard, I'm just going to go about it my own way, we actively made that decision to come back together and to work it out and to have those really difficult conversations where we knew we were going to hurt the person.
Sometimes brutal.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
Yep.
I want to put that emphasis on anybody who's like, no, ours is really brutal. It's like, no, it happens, but it's okay.
Yeah.
Just, I would say, my advice, we were talking about that, and not dwelling too much, but my advice would be not just that both need to do it, but you gotta have, regardless of anger, you gotta put your ego aside, and you have to be able to say things without wanting to hurt the other person.
Right.
Bite your tongue if you're feeling it, if it's a fight or it's whatever, walk away. But you got to be able to do it. And I think what comes really naturally for us is that we don't try to hurt each other.
Right.
We've done jokes, and we've been passive aggressive at times, which we've both found to disdain over time. It's funny how once you start putting in more positives than negatives, which is a thing, you definitely get to that point where it's I don't even want to do that.
Yeah.
It's so negative, I don't want to bring it to that point. Great point. I love that. And then to tie it into You've Got Mail, which is, you're right. The truth just needed to be said, whether she hated him or not. And I think that's what needed to come out. And a good comparison, in my opinion, to that is When Harry Met Sally. Because that was, of course, they had the luxury of span of years to get to know each other. But really, when it kicks off and they're both friends after the relationships, that's what I feel like anybody going to date needs to strive for. Not friendship, but I think it needs to be agreed upon with the man and the woman that it's I want to get to know you.
Yeah.
I don't want the honeymoon period.
Right.
That'll be great because that's coming regardless.
Sure.
But I want to know who I'm going to be with after the honeymoon period. Can I laugh with them?
Yep.
Can I understand them? Where are we going? Is there anything? And that's what you get with the friendship side of it, I think. And
I agree.
nice. And you can build that after you're together, but you got to be willing.
Yeah.
And that's why when Harry Met Sally, to me, is a good one to kind of touch down on and be like, this is a good relationship advice because they get to know each other.
Yeah, I agree.
So, you know, and it pays off too, because you can see like when the friends meet and they fall in love, it's because these two they all know each other so well. Like they're gonna be like, she's gonna be perfect for you. He's gonna be perfect.
Yeah.
But I think it's gonna be our fun time.
Yeah.
We're starting with our top 5. That is right,
Yay!
everybody. I put it out as top 5 married couples, but it's top 5 relationships in movies. Married couples is just way smaller on the print. I should just put movie couples. I'll put movie couples. I can fix that.
Okay.
So we're gonna basically how we do this. We count down from our 5 to 1. Mary's first time doing our top 5. Thank you for joining in on that. I'm excited, and
Me
thank
too.
you for the conversation. Feel free to keep talking if you want, or if you have anything.
Yeah, I do want to add something real quick. So there was a period talking about communication. It was going to be really, really fun because for a split second, I thought we had picked different lists.
Oh, no. So I do this to Paul all the time, and anybody who's on the show. I put parameters on my lists because I feel like there's such a broad spectrum. Like, I would love to do lists, not just like this is a good one for top 5 movie couples, but I want to do top 5 divorced couples. I want to do top 5, truly terrible people for each other that ended up in relationships, stuff like that. So like, I always try to put parameters on it to kind of keep it. So I did keep to married. All of mine are married or get married in the end.
All right. Some of mine are married. But I choose to believe that they all got married in the end.
I believe it too. And I can't wait to hear your list because you're good at this. Let's go with our number 5s. You go first because you're the guest.
I'm going first. All right. So number 5, drum roll please. I have Joel and Clementine from Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Okay. And then the fact that they kind of start over at the end, I dig it. I like that. So I'm with it. My number 5 is Wesley and Buttercup. They're the only one that aren't married during they get married at the end. Yeah. So that they are from of course, the Princess Bride. So that's my number 5. And what's your number? Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
What's your number 4?
Number 4, I hope this doesn't cause any conflict between us for being so low on my list, but I do have George and Mary from It's a Wonderful Life. And the only reason that they're so low is because to me, the story wasn't just about their relationship, or it didn't really focus so much on the marriage itself. It was a very big part of it, but that's why they were definitely on my list, but a little bit farther down.
That is terrible. You shouldn't put it that far down the list. That's just horrible. So that's your number 4. My number 4 is Albert and Armand from The Birdcage.
Interesting.
That's a marriage. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what was legal. And I don't know if it was legal in Florida in the 90s or not. But that was a marriage, and that was a great on-screen marriage. That's one of those ones where we're talking in the main topic about like the deceitfulness and stuff like that. And it does come out. And I'm not saying that the deceitfulness was right, but I feel like in that instance it was warranted with the the company, and everything else. Yeah.
So, but to me, conflict is important, right? Like to me, there was like a one thing the lesson was learned so quickly and they recovered from it so swiftly that I will be interested to see if they show up later on this.
Okay. I like it. All right. So who is your number 3?
Number 3, I have Adonis and Bianca from Creed.
That's a good one. That's a good one, especially if you go through all their whole lives together. I like that. Sorry, please. Proceed.
No, that's okay. I just love the support that they had for each other. They faced so many challenges, not only individually, but, together. And I just think it was such an example of mature love that I could not have them on my list. They're one of my favorite couples.
I love that. Well, number 3 for me is actually George and Mary from It's a Wonderful Life. Okay. And the only reason they're number 3, and I kind of contest a little bit. I get it. It's about George's life, but I think the message in that isn't. And honestly, like with all the stoicism reading on and stuff like that, it's about appreciating those people. Fair. What you have and all the love that's in there. that is 100% what we should be striving for. That's happiness, your virtue, and his virtue through that, and how he pulls. So like, and she was by his side, thick and thin, and like it just really was like both of them. Like he, of course, it took him a little while to get there because he was always a dreamer, but like it's always that is also nice to see in the 40s. Yeah, that this dreamer who was grounded by circumstance has this wife who understands he's a dreamer, right? And allows for that. She's the one that holds the fort down, and I love that. So and I love their relationship. Yeah, that's why I have such a high respect for Mary, and Donna Reed just killed it. Yeah, she really did. So so number two on our list, I have Sally and Harry from When Harry Met Sally. Very nice, very nice. They were married in the movie. They were. So that counts. Yeah, it was at the end. So I just wanted to say that's American. Yeah. I said some of them were. Yeah. I know. I'm trying to give you as many as you can. Yeah. But to go back, I just loved how it was based on friendship. I mean, just completely based on friendship. And it was another really great example of how they sort of grew. I mean, every time we were introduced to them, it was almost like a new character. They changed, and that's so true with life. I mean, you and I are such different people than the people that we were when we met each other. Yeah. But we are actively choosing to stay and to grow together and to see what that looks like for each other and to continue to show up for each other, not only for ourselves and for what the other person can do for us. And one of the big things like in this journey, like together and all this stuff that we learned, that I learned, and it goes not just to like the relationship or marriage or anything, it goes to parenthood, it goes to being a friend, it goes to just being a person in society, is that integral part that you have to, the integrity you need to hold. And now, but also allowing to say to yourself, I'm okay with who I was. I may not have been perfect, but I'm okay with it. And I'm forgiven. I'm done. Yeah. Like I can shut the book on that. I don't care if people are out there mad at me. I don't care if people are out there upset with me. I shut the book on who that was, because I know that, and to attribute to what's his name from Adam Yauch from the Beastie Boys. When he said, I'd rather be a hypocrite than the same person my whole life. And I think that's true to anybody. And, I'm just happy to have that growth, and I love, yeah, it is such a great quote. So number two on yours is great. I love that. And my number two is Edward and Sandra Bloom from Big Fish. Oh, nice. I mean, that's obviously there's one reason it's not number one, and you'll see. But there's such, if anybody hasn't seen Big Fish, go see Big Fish. Oh, it's such a good movie. It really is. Now, who's your number one? Number one, I said they may show up again, but it's Albert and Armand from The Birdcage. Love it. Love it. That's a great choice, too. They're so good. They're so good. They're so good. No. Go ahead. If anything you want to say. No, I was just going to say another really great example of support. I mean, when they're out at the cafe and Armand, I think it's Armand is walking and Robin Williams' character is trying to give him. I mean, it is just the epitome of hashtag goals to me. They were supportive. They loved each other. They laughed. They were all about family. They did everything that they could to support and nurture their child. I just think that they didn't belittle each other. They didn't belittle each other. Exactly. I love that too. Even when Armand was feeling it, which you do, and then either, we're going to feel like, they're being their best self at the moment, and it's like, but he didn't enter angry. He didn't enter. He was reassuring and loving, and he took his ego out of it and saw this person he loved and decided, I'm going to talk to this person in a positive light. And it is a beautiful way. These relationships we're talking about, they should be studied in a way. And I think it's funny and a testament to what we've learned. I mean, you on your own, me on my own, and together, how a healthy relationship looks past the rom-com getting together courting phase. Right. So that's why I like this list. I wanted to do more than that, Yeah. Not to speculate, are they together, but what were they like after? Right. So my number one, which deals a lot in time, is Tim and Mary from About Time. You love that movie. That's probably my favorite romantic movie of all time. Yeah. Oh my God, I'm gonna choke up thinking about it. I just love that movie and that ending with his dad. Oh,
Yeah.
it's such a good movie. If nobody's seen it, it's got time travel. It's got great acting. It's got Rachel, what's her name from McAdams from The Notebook? She's great.
She is.
She's great in everything.
She is so good.
You know, Domhnall Gleeson is great. Like everybody is so good in that.
That's a good one.
It's such a great choice, and they are because the thing I loved about it too is like he never went back and tried to fix things with his wife.
Right.
He just let him play out. He went back to try and like when all her paperwork was everywhere and stuff like that. And he was like, I can fix this. Like, I just gotta go.
Right.
But like he never tried to change her who she was.
Yeah.
And I love that when he made that change, just a little bit of a spoiler, but 3 years or older, that's the rule. When he gets to that point and he sees a different child and he realizes I'm never going back again. Like he had to fix it so that way he could get the child he knew back. And like I hope that maybe alerts some people to go check this movie out. It's that well done.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's why it's my number one. I know I overtalked a little bit, but I don't think anybody's seen that enough, and I want to try and get the word out there.
Yeah, that's a really good pick.
Thank you. Yeah, you had some great picks too. I really like these lists. Well done. Appreciate it. And is there anything you want to add about, or any honorable mentions you want to throw out there before we get started? Or?
Ooh, yeah, I have a few. I have a few on my list. You know, I have the typical Elizabeth and Mr. Darcy. Wesley and Buttercup were on my list. And Quincy and Monica from Love and Basketball were also on my list.
Years. I haven't seen that since the 90s.
We should watch that. That's such a good movie.
That's a good movie.
Yeah.
I remember Omar Epps was in that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is yours? So what are some of yours?
I came up with my 5.
Oh, okay.
I don't like. I mean, I have other relationships that I like
Sure.
from movies, but I think I've just gotten week to week that is top 5 that I get so intense about making my 5 that I usually have extras, but I delete them real fast because I'm like, I'm not talking about these. Plus, we never get to honorable mention, so I'm glad you had some.
Yeah.
Paul's gonna be pissed.
Paul.
He never gets an.
No, I'm just kidding. I love you, Paul.
All right. Well, thank you guys for watching our top 5. We're going to get into our review of the evening, and I am super stoked for this one. Holiday Touchdown, a Chiefs love story. I'm going to just read the IMDb of what this is about, this small blurb. Chiefs superfan Alana tries to win the Fan of the Year award as a Christmas gift for her family, falling in love with someone in the Chiefs front office along the way. Dude. Oh my God. So this is the movie that has Travis and Jason Kelce's mom in it.
Yep.
It has numerous people who are sort of peripheral in the Chiefs world.
Sure.
And it's about some dude who works at the Chiefs they're running this Fan of the Year, and he falls in love with a girl in his family who are super Chiefs fans, and they have a magical hat that they have to wear on Christmas or the Chiefs will lose everything. And it so let's get into it. So we got the story down. This was not based on Taylor and Travis's life, because this is very different, but it's supposed to be a love story very in a similar vein with a lot of Chiefs crap everywhere.
Sure.
This movie would not fly in New Jersey for the Giants. It wouldn't. I don't even know. Nobody would shop at their shop. Nobody would, because that's New Jersey for you. Now, if they were Jets fans, that's a different story. No, but watching this movie, we got into it. You're such a huge Taylor Swift fan.
I am.
And it was the end of the Eras tour.
It is. I have my Taylor Swift.
I know, you're wearing it. So I thought, let's talk about a movie that's supposed, like they did another one on Lifetime, but I was like, I'm going with the one that has Mama Kelsey in it.
Yeah, I got to go with Mama Kelsey.
You can definitely tell there was more production value because there's Chiefs crap everywhere. That's all they're steeped in. This was a movie. I bet you the guy from marketing this guy is playing wrote this movie.
But you know what I loved? What small detail I loved was at the end when they're at like the actual game, she has on her Kansas City Eagles split jersey on.
Oh, Mama Kelsey does.
She does. Yep.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool.
So I love that she wore like her actual jersey, for both of her kids at the end.
And good for Mama Kelsey. She did a good job in this.
She did a great job.
I'm not going to praise the movie by any means, but she did a good job. And it's not, she's not an actor. She stepped in, she delivered her lines, and you can say though, and I don't care until she says that it's not true, and she never will. You and Taylor Swift have both watched this movie.
That's true.
You
That's
know, I'm
true.
not saying together, but you did both watch this movie. Because if she says she didn't, what does that say? You think Travis wasn't sitting at home that day? Like, it's opening, it's coming out. Got to see Mama in action.
I
And
know.
if my mom was in a movie, I'd watch it too.
Yeah,
I'd
me
have
too.
to.
I know. And if I was dating someone, they certainly are going to watch it with me.
Damn right. So we know, we can deduce that Taylor Swift has watched this movie with us, and I don't know what her rating is. She can call in anytime and tell us. But
that's true. She could. Oh my gosh, I would die.
What do you think about this? So like, I have a big problem with the movies that jump on the public domain too quickly.
Okay.
I don't have an issue if you take your time and adapt a public domain and try to build off those characters. That's fine. And they're doing that now with the Winnie the Pooh after the second one. But what about this? Taylor Swift is, I mean, this is like your maybe mother-in-law one day was in this movie. That your husband's team basically paid for this movie.
Right.
And it was a Hallmark thing. What do you think about movies like that? Do you think that's okay? Do you think it's product placement, or I'm just wondering how you feel?
At this point, if there's a good story that keeps me entertained, at this point, I don't really see a difference, because we've been through so many. I mean, we've been through like the first live show, right? The first live Broadway show on cable that was acted out. You know what I mean? Like, we sort of lived through all of these phases of life with television, with movies, with, you know, X, Y, and Z, that to me, if it's done in a way that keeps my attention, which this movie did, I'm okay with it, to be honest.
I love it. All right.
Yeah.
So speaking of stories, this was a problem. This story is a problem. Like, they even introduced a Magic Santa.
There was a Magic Santa.
So it has like, and it's not your traditional Hallmark movie where girl goes in and back to her small town, falls in love with a lumberjack, breaks up the guy who loves her all his whole heart. This is like two young people.
They're young.
You would call him young?
I would call him younger than me.
I don't know if that's true. I don't know if I can hold to that. I don't think he's that young. He looks, I mean, he is younger than, I mean, come on, anybody's not younger than me. I feel bad. Like, I feel like I'm trying to like throw him under the bus, but I need to know this guy's age. It's going to happen. So he's got to be about our age. She looked young.
She looked young.
I wonder if that's why they do it in movies. I don't know. I always figured that
she looks younger than him, which is usually how it's done in movies.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he's 38 years old. So he's younger. He's not that young. That is not a young face.
But they were both grown-ups. But they weren't frumpy grown-ups. You know what I mean? Like, I kind of liked how they were both younger but single, but not this like, oh, I'm never going to find anyone. It was like, well, I just moved here, or, well, I'm running my parents' Kansas City store. So I don't, you know,
say it again real slow.
Yeah. Like, it didn't seem far-fetched.
All right. So not bad then. Okay. I looked her up too. She's 31. He's 38.
All right. That's not bad.
All right. Not bad. No, she did look younger in this. She looked like almost closer to a teenage Taylor. Like, you could tell they were going for like a Taylor look.
Yeah.
And for him, I think that there's just one look, and there's almost like he's not a cowboy, but he's kind of a cowboy. That's how Hallmark rolls.
Yeah. Sure.
Hallmark's signature. So like, I just like with him, like, he was always going to look older because he looks like a Hallmark version of Rip.
Yeah. Totes.
So from Yellowstone. So like, for me, that's all right. That's not bad, but they do age him a lot, and they make him look aged. Like, she looks young, he looks older.
Yeah.
And I just like that. I've never been a big fan of that in movies anyway. Yeah. I'm not saying that you have to have them the same age or anything, but like, give it a reason.
Right.
You know, give it a real reason. Like, I liked to use his like Iron Man 2. Like, clearly Scarlett Johansson's the young sexualized character in that movie, and he's the older man. But she's a badass super spy who goes undercover as this beautiful woman most of the time. Like, we find out what the Red Room is and what the that whole program was. So that's where writers made it make sense. Plus, she's an established character. I'm using this more often, but I can't stand I'm starting to think that maybe they use younger women against older men to make the men look younger.
Probably, or to make them still feel very vivacious.
I mean, listen, it is Hollywood. I'm not every day something comes out, so like I'm sure people are writing stupid things in. Like, it's not the writers who write which actors are going to get what. It's that's the casting and such. But
yeah,
I'm sure. But I'm wondering if it does play in, because I'm going to go back and start looking at that with more analytical eyes. Like, does it make them look younger versus working with somebody else? That's interesting. But let this, I will say, what's your rating for this one?
I gave this 3.5.
Wow.
I did. Yep. So I thought it was, again, it kept my attention, and I don't necessarily think, because I'm a Saints fan, right? Like, Kansas City does not have their hold on me. Taylor or not, she can have them. But I loved that it not only kept my attention, it was a little bit where you could guess what was going to happen, a little bit predictable. But there was still some times when I was like, oh, okay, I didn't expect them to write it that way, right? Like, I knew something was going to happen. I knew something was going to, cause this conflict to resolve, but it wasn't necessarily the resolution I expected. And I really liked that because it's a new movie, so I'm trying to do it with no spoilers, because I don't want to ruin it for anybody that has this on their list, that they're dying to go and see it. And
I'll put spoilers up on the thing if you want.
Right.
If you want to go crazy, go ahead.
But at the end, when they were when it was being resolved, and they were, I loved that the magic, it was because of them. It wasn't because of the hat. It wasn't because of this tradition or this, symbol. It was them. And I really like that they did it that way, instead of, the whole stadium being upset or what have you, that, something was amiss. I think that the way they did it, and I think it really does encompass the spirit of the season, or what it's supposed to be about, because it can get convoluted, but it really is about connections and us coming together as a people. And I just really hope that we can do that.
I want to say this, that I'm going to watch this again with you in April.
Okay.
And we're going to see how you feel.
That's fair.
Listen, it does have all that. And I've said with Hallmark, like, Hallmark has its place. Like, I don't think that they should be complete like that. It's a channel that's dedicated and people like it, and that's fine. If people like it, it's not hurting anybody. I'm always for it. I don't think it's very artistic, but I think it is a good stepping stone for filmmakers.
Sure.
Or a place for some filmmakers to just be like, you know what? I just want to make Hallmark movies now.
Sure.
Because it is easier to repeat, but you do love the task of making the movies. So, like, I do feel like Hallmark has a place. I do applaud Hallmark for making a movie. They're completely capitalizing on Taylor Swift and the Chiefs and all that jazz.
Sure.
Which everyone is. And so no judgments. Now with that, they made something that's different outside of the scope from their normal Hallmark movie.
Yeah.
So I give them credit. I gave them a 2.
Okay.
So that's where my mind lands. There's some good things about this. It is heartwarming, stuff like that. But as a movie, it's choppy. And there's some things that like the Magic Santa bothers me because it's never fully established until the end. And like, it's just kind of like, why is this one dude the only Santa that exists? And then they tie it in, of course, all together, and he's Magic Santa. So that was like, it wasn't a reveal. It was like, you could have let this go the whole time.
Yeah.
And like kind of alluded like that's what this was going to be, instead of third act just dropping it on us.
Right.
So like that bothers me, because that's a Deus Ex Machina, in my opinion. Which is, for anybody who's like really into movies, that's like when you take the power out of your characters. And it's okay to have magic, but the magic should never be able to take the power away from the characters dictating the role and dictating the story,
Right.
So, and that's where it happened. I would have liked if like he had found it.
Yeah.
And like kind of came together, because one thing that really bugged me about this movie was her. I liked how he handled it, but she, like, in the family, they kicked him out. Like, as soon as he was like,
Yeah.
he's like, oh, I mean, I'm sure most people believe like their
Yeah.
thing makes their team win, and they kicked him out and were rude as hell to him.
They were rude as hell.
Like,
Yeah.
you don't believe our magic hat story?
I know. Gosh, that's for real. And honestly, there could be an argument that that Santa stole the hat. Okay, because he was
True.
right there and he wanted to try it on to begin with. So that's
So
why it didn't get a higher rating.
I love it. And yes, and that I'm to play off of that and your point there. He didn't, and that's the thing. They established that this hat may be magic, and it's
Right.
all alluding to getting to the game to see if it is. And it's not. The whole point in the movie is the hat's not magic. It was the love between them was what the real magic that came about, and it was the real magic of all of their stories was the love that was built on. But they added a magic element in Santa Claus.
I know.
So you take the magic away from the one thing you've been telling everybody is magic the whole time and say it's not, but this guy is because it's Christmas.
Yep.
And that's what, like, I just can't get behind that. So I had to work that out, but I appreciate you. So that's our ratings for Holiday Touchdown at Chiefs. I don't even know the name. The Chiefs Love Story. If you want to go check it out, go check it out. Let us know what you think in the comments. We appreciate you. If you're watching this as a clip or you're watching or listening to the whole episode, we appreciate you. But we're getting to the final part of our night, and that is Mick's movie picks. And this year I went with 1996. Yes, I said if it's 25 years or older, it counts as a classic movie. So I went as 1996, The Preacher's Wife, starring Denzel Washington, Courtney B. Vance, the amazing Whitney Houston. I had to say the best for last when I'm naming the names. So, and I mean, like, we got great actors, but Whitney Houston.
I mean, come on.
So good in that movie. And this is a remake, of course, of The Bishop's Wife. I believe it was from 1947. I'd have to look it up again, starring Bing Crosby. But this tells a tale of an angel who comes down to try and help a preacher and his wife reconnect during the holidays while also helping the congregation along the way as well. I love this movie. I think this is a fantastic movie. We're doing a full classic film review where you can go and listen to it, and we have some little tidbits and trivia along the way. We hope you enjoy that. Mary, what do you think about this movie? Have you ever seen The Preacher's Wife?
Oh yes, I have. I love this movie. I haven't seen it in a long time, I will admit. I would like to add this to our list this season to rewatch.
I think that's a great.
I would love to watch it again.
You know where they shot it?
No.
Jersey City, New Jersey. That's right. I remember when they were filming it. So yeah, that's where it takes place. So I love this movie. Very close connection. So look out for that this week on the YouTube channel. It's going to be The Preacher's Wife classic film review. Thank you guys so much for joining in. Mary, you have anything you want to say before we get going?
No, just thanks for letting me come and join the conversation. I had a great time.
I had a great time too. We're gonna have to bring you on more often. And you've seen Mary before. She's helped out with our Casters for a Cause, especially our scripts read. She puts all the scripts together, things like that. She's fantastic. And I appreciate you coming on, being my co-host. Next week, everybody, we have a really exciting live show for you. It's going to be our Christmas / end of the year special. And it is going to be a Y2K party. We're going to have some special guests coming, and we're going to do our top 5s of everything throughout the year, plus our top 10 movies of the year. So make sure you join in for that. We're going to have some great times with that. And then we will be off until January. We're going to have some classic film reviews come out, stuff like that, but we will be off till January. And then you can join us back for the lives. We always take Christmas off, but you can catch me on Popcorn and Pints. I'm going to fill it in over on Horror with Sir Sturdy. Got a lot of stuff going on. I want to say thank you all for joining in, being a part of it. I really, truly appreciate you. If you guys want to be a part of the Snob Nation, the Discord, things like that, you got to join up over on the Patreon. Free. We'll get you our newsletter. We get updates, things like that. You can also get in a Discord. If you pay, you help help the channel out and things like that. It all goes back into making this all work. So I appreciate you. So remember to like, subscribe, and hit that bell and comment as well. I'd love to hear from you. So and follow us for more. Until next time, I'm Mick Manhattan from the Scene Snobs, and remember to be kind, stay classy, and Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night.